Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Joe Biden. He's a master politician, a master tactician. You turn on the TV, you listen to the Democrat shills. He's the smartest man to ever live and the greatest politician to ever exist. The word genius doesn't even suffice in describing his level of competence and intellect.
This president did such a remarkable job. He is a person of such knowledge, such vision for the country, such knowledge of the issues, such strategic thinking, and such a legislator. And on top of it all, a person who connects with the American people. He just has to get out there.
Do you really believe Joe Biden is the best candidate the Democrats could nominate, or is this a political expediency answer?
Well, absolutely. First of all, he's been one of the most highly effective presidents we've ever seen.
You know, they say this stuff with a straight face, but if it was true, why is it that the people have a different view? And really, it's an exposure thing. The more people get exposure and direct experience with this absolute loser, the most recent example of that experience is what's going on in Maui after the mass fires. Well, a lot of the residents there seem to be having a little bit of a wake-up call moment as they realize the incompetence not only of their own government and their own elected officials, but of Joe Biden, the Biden administration, and the federal response, or I guess you could even call it lack of response, to this tragic event. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. There's one clip in particular that we'll use as the headliner, and then let's get into some other clips and some other topics as well. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so we did initial coverage on this topic. Another horrible event occurs, and it's the president's job to react, to do something quick to address the nation, and pretty much this was his address.
President, any comments on the rising death toll in Maui?
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
Well, for most of us, it was no surprise. Joe Biden's a real piece of work, and it seems as though now many of the residents are starting to come to a similar realization. Here's one clip.
So why aren't you taking care of what you claim to be in charge of, rather than sending out all these funds and whatever else you guys are sending to Ukraine or anywhere? Take care of here first. You know, I don't see why any president wouldn't step up and take care of what's part of their, territory. I think it's a stupid move on his part. Biden, yeah, he's an idiot. Sorry. No, not sorry.
He's an idiot, not sorry. And of course, you don't have to be sorry. You're simply telling the truth. Everyone gets it, or at least most of the people tuned into basic reality. And I love how people are finally starting to make connections. A horrible tragedy occurs on American soil, and it doesn't even seem to crack the top maybe 50 in terms of priorities for this White House. Meanwhile, the slaughter that's happening in Ukraine, the endless billions that are being spent on what seems to be a totally hopeless endeavor that's not even in Americans' national interest, well, Joe Biden and the rest of these Democrats are on the task priority number one. Address immediately, and most importantly, sign the blank check immediately to this cause of supposed national interest. Finally, people are getting it. But one thing that I really hope they get, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the residents of Maui voted for this clown at like 75% to 25%. I hope they're realizing at the same time that this is actually what they voted for. They're the ones who voted for this incompetent clown. And hopefully now it's time for a reality check. That this administration is so incredibly corrupt and incompetent, but most importantly, this administration doesn't care. This is what you get when you vote for a Democrat establishment that ran an election and is running the government on an America Last policy platform. This is exactly what you get. Many of the people in Maui are Democrat voters. They hate Donald Trump, I'm sure they do. But what it seems like to me is a lot of them right now, while facing this crisis and realizing the incompetence of this administration, a lot of them seem to be promoting a message of America first. Again, the contrast could not have been clearer between the previous administration and this one. When disaster hit American soil, Donald J. Trump was on scene immediately. Joe Biden, his response is no comment. The incompetence is on full display. For Pete's sakes, FEMA, ran by Joe Biden's administrators, can't even get an accounting of the lives lost nearly a week after this horrible event.
You say that we have to ask the Hawaii officials for the count, but you also say that you are working with them. I think it's hard for people to understand, there are potentially 1,000 people who have perished in this fire. How can we not know more about this many days out?
Yeah, again, we take all of our numbers from the local officials and we are supporting them with our teams to help better understand. And I think the unaccounted piece is just making sure that we are accounting for everybody that was reported as missing. And it could be that they are staying with family and friends and we haven't been able to contact them yet. There's a lot of different reasons on why people are unaccounted for.
Total incompetence, leaving residents in the area confused, frustrated, and becoming increasingly more distrustful in those in charge with an emergency response. And on the issue of an actual accounting of individuals missing, there's another question that's popping up, which residents aren't getting an answer to.
I don't know. I wish
yes,
I knew
you do. How many children are missing? You know.
I wish I knew the answer to that. I would be happy to answer that.
You have no estimate as to how many children are missing?
I guess
Nothing?
we can end this right now if you guys want. Sorry,
this is one of the biggest questions that the people of Lahaina have, but you don't want to answer.
It always takes one or two to ruin it for everybody.
Please, this is our first only
Well, we could say that about you. You ruined it for everyone.
You're welcome to say it. You're the media. You can say whatever you want.
You're a disaster.
All right. Okay. Please.
You've been the worst mayor we could possibly imagine.
You won't even wait.
Respect what? This is the most dismal response we've ever had.
You won't wait for your turn. You want to shout over these guys that are legitimate.
Why don't you give them the real answers then?
So.
Give them the real answers.
That's not his question.
Let him.
Yeah. You can go. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
We're getting reports of missing children, and the relevant governing bodies don't have any answers. I mean, let your mind travel and you could pretty much put two and two together. The incompetence of the response, the whole situation just culminates in this ridiculous situation where people are left with questions unanswered. People are frustrated with the lack of help, the apparent disregard at a federal level. I mean, I don't blame the residents of Maui. Not only do they not have answers, but as they're asking for help, the president of the United States is just chilling on a beach chair, soaking up the sun. It's just soaking up the sun. It's an insult. It's embarrassing. And again, it shows the priority. As people are struggling to make it, as people can't pay their bills, Joe Biden is touting the success of Bidenomics. As people are experiencing horrible, tragic events, Joe Biden's on the beach, Joe Biden says no comment, all the while sending billions of taxpayer dollars to further perpetuate global instability and this ridiculous war in Ukraine, where the estimated loss of troops is in the hundreds of thousands, funding what seems to be a slaughter with no win in sight and certainly no end in sight. I guess the way that you could describe it, it's all just a slap in the face to American citizens and American taxpayers. Hopefully, people are starting to wake up. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Of course, we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.